So in Guild Wars 2, there's lots and lots of jumping puzzles, and jumping puzzles originally were meant to be done without any kind of special abilities or anything, just you running along and jumping off of platform to platform. Um, that's not the case anymore. I mean, technically, they're still totally, you can do that, but most people just skip. There's several things that you can do to skip the majority of jumping puzzles in the game, and most of them involve masteries. So the first thing that you want to have for helping you with jumping puzzles just in general is gliding. Gliding and being able to like lean, for instance, to get a speed boost. This is a really helpful thing for a lot of jumping puzzles because you can skip pieces and parts of the jumping puzzle by gliding, and gliding is really simple to get. You just do the very first couple of story chapters in Heart of Thorns. Super fast, super simple. It's kind of like, you play the first couple of story parts in Path of Fire to get a raptor. It's the same thing in Heart of Thorns with gliding, except gliding is a lot more useful for jumping puzzles than a raptor is. The other thing that's really super useful to get is if you have not gotten very much in the way of mounts, you get your high vault on your Springer, and you can jump up quite a bit of stuff. Um, Obviously, the best mount to get is the Sky Scale mount, and being able to do wall launching is really useful because you can fly up as high as you can go, grab onto something, hold down your action button for a little bit, and your energy regenerates a little bit, and then you launch up off the wall and can go just a little bit higher. But the biggest thing is in Living World Season 4, you get Bond of Faith, and this launches you off of a mount. So whether you're doing it on a Springer or you're doing it on a Sky Scale, it's this ability right here, Bond of Faith, and this skill is awesome. So, like, I'm on a Springer right now, I'm not even on a Sky Scale, and I want to, like, climb these roots. Well, I can jump up, to climb up the roots, but as I'm climbing up the roots, I'm like, well, I'm getting pretty close to a jumping puzzle. There is a jumping puzzle right down in here, and over here in this troll village, you come in these bushes right here, fall down, swim along a little path, and then do a jumping puzzle in here, and the end is right over here with a grand chest. Instead of having to basically do the whole jumping puzzle, you can instead use your mount abilities and get yourself nice and close to it, and just launch yourself onto it with Bonds of Faith. And I'm doing it with a Springer at the moment because I want to demonstrate you don't actually have to have a Sky Scale for this to work. So, like, right now, if I jump up, right down in here is a splendid chest, but I just did the jumping puzzle without doing the jumping puzzle. The jumping puzzle's all in there, inside of the cave, and here's my beautiful treasure chest. You can do this with, like, any jumping puzzle. For the majority part in the game, there are a few of them that you can't. For instance, Griffin Rook Run, where you have to pick up a bomb and carry it all the way to the end. Well, how are you going to carry it all the way to the end if you're jumping around on mounts? Plus, it doesn't allow you to use mounts in that area. You could say, oh, well, how about, let's go to the Quaggan Hatchling one in Timberline Falls. Because it's in a specific area inside of a cave, once you get in there, you have to jump from globe to globe, because in actuality, it doesn't let you use a mount to skip stuff. I'll just keep my Springer out. You can do this with a lot of jumping puzzles pretty easily, but some of them are much easier than others to get up. So I'm going to one of the easiest ones to get up. Actually, honestly, South Sun Cove, period. Easy to get up. Skipping stones. I like to say nowadays that the reason it's called skipping stones is because you skip it. Jump up, on faith, Well, I missed, but here, I'll show you with the sky scale. It's easier to see that way.
Armor enhanced.
Because it can go a little higher, so you can see you're just aiming for any of these little platformies right here, because there's the chest, and instead of having to go all the way around the back and go through all of this jazz and climb up all through here to get up in here, like that, instead of it being a big giant zigzag, instead, and there's the gliding. I jumped forward and then I used my gliding just a little bit.
There's the power.
Gliding just makes it easier to get between long jumps and makes it easier to get down from jumping puzzles, makes it easier to go from like skipping parts of it. Like say I was doing the actual jumping puzzle, you can skip part of this jumping puzzle because of gliding if you actually did it the way you're supposed to. Now some you gotta finagle a little bit to get up them. You can use a sky scale to leap up to the end of it. So see, right here, you can see all this jumping along this whole thing over here. And you're using all that leaping to get over to the other side. So you're jumping. And again, gliding makes it easier to glide along all of this stuff. Now they'll say, oh, you can't use a mount around here because look, there's your grand chest. But in actuality, you don't need the mount to climb all the way up super straightforward like, because you can just climb up over here. And there's an invisible wall, but you can still land enough to get on here. And now, look where you are. It doesn't matter that you can't get super close because you're above it. You can even get more above it. Whee! I just completed the whole jumping puzzle. Now I will say for the daily... come on, dude. For the daily, you have to actually come on the scaffolding to get credit for it. So if you're doing jumping puzzles for the daily, do realize that it's not always at the treasure chest itself that you'll get credit. This even works for like some of the bigger jumping puzzles, like in Siren's Landing. You can totally do that one, just going up with a sky scale, and then leaping off, gliding onto a spot, waiting for a couple seconds, pulling back out your sky scale, glide upward, and then just leap off again. Like, Leap of Faith really changed how difficult any of this stuff is. So, in Caledon Forest as well, is a Specs Lab, and you cannot use the mountain side of Specs Lab. So while this helps with the majority of jumping puzzles, it's an example of a jumping puzzle that you can't do this with. A jumping puzzle where being able to do this with your mount isn't necessarily effectively going to get you up there. It'll get you to the spot faster, where it is, but as soon as you go inside, it's like, oh yeah, you're not allowed to use a mountain here. So it's not perfect, because there are a few jumping puzzles where you can't use it, but like, almost every jumping puzzle where the end of it is an open world, you know, you can do this with. If it's the one in Haratha Hinterlands, if it's the one in Queensdale, Plains of Ashford, I jump onto the ends of so many jumping puzzles by doing the Leap of Faith thing. I mean, it's more difficult to think of which ones I can't do this with than that I can do this with. And even the ones that you can't do this with, I've played long enough that I know some of the little secrets for. Like the one in the Iron Marches, you don't even have to jump the whole way through. Like there's a platform that's short enough that you can actually just jump up onto it. And that makes it like have a shortcut even if it's not a mount-based shortcut. But see, it dismounts you right here. Like if I try to pull on a mount, whoops, it just automatically dismounts you. It will not let you be mounted. So this is just the entrance to the whole place. But what you can use in here are these little lab assistant guys. So when you get to a platform spot, it actually saves that, oh, you got to this one, so it's fine. So I got to the first one, so if I fall off or anything, the lab assistant helps you now. I will say with this one in particular, the rate at which it disappears, if you wait and have never done this jumping puzzle before and watch it disappear, that's how fast you need to do your jumps by, because that's the pacing or whatever that's intended for this thing. And obviously you can use the
Accelerating.
ground as part of the jumping puzzle, because the ground um, on the cliffs part counts as a platform. So if you're confused why it's not fully the whole way there, that's why. But this one, it's impossible to use a mount on, so you do have to learn it a little bit yourself. But the majority of them, super easy to cheese, like
Accelerating.
a solid, I don't know, like 80% of the jumping puzzles in the game. In Mount Maelstrom, there's the hidden garden.
Accelerating.
And the hidden garden jumping puzzle is interesting because you can use the mount for like a ton of the jumping puzzle, and then the very last bit of it, you can't use the mount. Oh, I'm gonna have to fight these losers on them. Anywho. I like free teleports. But in Mount Maelstrom, when you first go into the hidden garden, you still have to kill the veteran creature or whatever, right? And then you get in there, and you can go pick up all of your orbs with a mount, except for the very last one, which is above the treasure chest, up in the tree. So it's like you can do a lot less of the jumping puzzle, but you can't just skip the whole thing. A lot of them are like that, like with the addition of the sky scale, it did make the jumping puzzle in Draconis Mons somewhat less horrible, because you can use the sky scale to get you partway over to the first checkpoint. And in my personal opinion, getting to the first checkpoint is like one of the worst parts of it. The biggest thing with Ember Bay's one is it doesn't actually make anything faster or easier to use the mount. Technically, you can use the mount to get up on top, and then you can use a portal device and a mesmer to teleport yourself around to each one of the like checkpoint things. But it doesn't actually make anything easier or faster than just doing it this correct way, which is kind of sucky because, you know, it's one of the harder jumping puzzles in the game. But with that one, you just kind of accept things. Alright, now that I found it, let's get up nice and high. And launch! Whee! So, I believe this is it. But anyway, so I skipped this jumping puzzle by doing the leap thing again. Hopefully I've done enough of these that it's pretty self-explanatory. And I haven't gone to like every jumping puzzle and demonstrated it because the point is the concept. But the biggest thing is with these masteries, you really open up doors for yourself with jumping puzzles pretty easily if you focus on the correct masteries. It's really that simple. So for anyone who's new and who's never done, you know, jumping puzzles because you felt intimidated, or maybe you've been playing for a while and you felt that way, maybe you're new and you're like, oh, you know, I'd like to get some of these things done for the achievements, but I do not want to have to get every single mastery to do it. Again, you can still jump up a lot of these jumping puzzles with a Springer mount, even if you don't have a sky scale, as long as you have the Bond of Faith thing. And even if you're doing a jumping puzzle, you know, by itself, without having any mounts at all, except maybe a raptor, you can still use gliding to help you with some parts of a lot of the jumping puzzles. And then there's honestly quite a few jumping puzzles that just have a skip already. That's part way into it. Like I said in the Iron Marches one, I'm gonna go to Lion's Arch, and there's one where you don't use a mount to get to it. The dismount area is pretty far away, but it's a super easy jumping puzzle anyway, so it's not a big deal. But what is more useful is that you don't have to do the entire jumping puzzle. Even though it's already such an easy jumping puzzle, in my opinion, it's one of the easiest ones in the game. It's actually even easier than it is already easy. So pretty far away, you've got the you can't use a mount thing, and it's actually on the other side of all of this, but just gonna take you to see. So this one's like Ermog's Secret or something like that. So it's meant to be that you jump around on all these different rocks and stuff and come around the whole way to over here. But in actuality, you don't need to jump all that other stuff, because you can hop right here and then hop right here, and boom, you skipped like a whole bunch of the beginning part, and the beginning part is the most annoying part anyway, in my opinion. All the rest of it is basically like climbing stairs. It's just like, oh look, here's the next tallest part. Okay, cool. I'll go to the next tallest part and just keep climbing the stairs. Like it's not like you're gonna fall to your death or something like that. It's just climbing stairs. So the beginning part where you fall down, you're not going to fall to your death, but it is annoying to start over. But in actuality, you only have to do like 3 of the bottom part jumps, because the rest of them are all completely skippable. Like 100% skippable. Jumping puzzles have existed long enough that it's okay to cheese them. Now, if you want to challenge yourself and do them the normal way, 100% go for it, do it. I'm just saying, don't stress about it. I always say do a jumping puzzle the right way the first time, and then every time after that, you don't have to feel guilty or like you're bad for cheesing it. Even if you can't beat it the first time doing it the right way, try it once the right way, see if you can beat it, get the sense of accomplishment or whatever from it, and then just cheese it all the rest of the times, because there's no point in not doing so. In Lion's Arch here, there's a jumping puzzle that goes all through the city quite a ways, and then when you get to the end of picking up these different key fragments, you come and you jump up, I want to say up in here somewhere, and when you jump up in there, you get like your last key, and then you open the chest. And it's up there, yeah. See Roland's chest? And you have to collect keys from all over these buildings. Well, it used to be a jumping puzzle where you ran all over the city, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, to try to get all of this stuff. And instead, now you can just fly to each one of the key pieces and pick it up and cheese it. You don't have to jump all over these whole everythings to get over here and get the loot. Obviously I need to go get the other 3 keys if I want to do this jumping puzzle, but it's simplified quite a bit by mounts. So again, the very first time you do the jumping puzzle, try jumping all over the rooftops. See how it feels, see what you can get out of it. Explore the city by doing that. It can be fun, climbing all over all of these things and stuff. But in actuality, it's not necessary. Don't feel bad about not wanting to actually do that. Anywho, that's pretty much my speech or whatever. Jumping puzzles are obviously also made easier for people who fall a lot if you do it on a mesmer. For anyone who doesn't know, what I was talking about earlier about being on a mesmer is portal entry right here. So you just make a portal and then you just go wander off somewhere, or even, you know, come up on a building. Whee! Drop down, make your portal entry. Whee! I am back where I was. So if you fall down, or you're worried, oh, this jumping spot looks scary, just make a little portal entry thing, and then if you fall down, you can take your portal back to where you were. There is a portal entry device that you can get from Living World Season 3 in, I want to say, Lake Doric. Um, and it lets you teleport kind of like a Mesmer portal. So a lot of times people like to double them up when they're doing some of this stuff. But personally, I'm like, it's not really necessary. It's fine. It's easy. So, yeah, I personally like jumping puzzles. They're fast, they're simple. You just show up and grab a treasure chest. Even in like Ended Dragons, I feel that way about jumping puzzles. Like, I do the one in Setung Province, like, a lot. And the one in Echo Vault, not Echo Vault, Kaineng City, decently. I go farm treasure chests all over Echo Vault, Setung, Tang Province, and Kaineng City quite a bit because you memorize where the little fox treasure chests are, and it's just sort of like a little pathway of treasure and loot. So I just go grab them. But it's pretty straightforward and simple. Again, if you don't have a sky scale, use a Springer, but just make sure you get the Living World Season 4 ability to be able to use the Crystal Champion abilities. This Bond of Faith one is just super good. Like, just so good.